Hi, I'm back. This is Gus Galway, Admissions Manager with AUC. You've probably seen a few of the videos I posted. Right now, I'm excited to bring to you the final panel of the day. You've already seen the students who just left now, and now I'm going to be introducing our wonderful, amazing faculty, leadership. Also, we have one alumna who's coming to join the panel. So I'm really excited about this, guys. I want you to please ask questions if you have questions, but we also will talk about a few items I think are important for you to know before you decide to come to AUC, so you can make an informed decision, so to speak. So I think we're going to cover a lot of really good information here. I'm really excited, like I said, and so without further ado, let me flip the screen so you can see our marvelous faculty. All right, so so we have with us today, we have, and again, this is our campus leadership represented right here. And we have Dr. Golden Jackson, Dr. Rinker, Dr. McKee, going from right to left, and then we have Hazari as well. I'm expecting that we'll have Dr. Andriades. She just went over to be part of the admissions committee meeting, and she'll be joining us shortly. She's also, Dr. Andriades is also an alum of AUC, so we'll get to hear from that perspective. So let's hear about these amazing faculty. Dr. Jackson, give us a little bit of some brief introduction about yourself and what you do here.
Okay, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. My name is Golden Jackson, and I'm the Assistant Dean for Service Learning and Community Affairs. I am in my 6th year at AUC, and I came here after a very long, I won't tell you how long, it would scare you, a very long career at the Ohio State University. If you're from Ohio, you know why we do that. I'm very happy to be here because AUC is such a special place. What I do here is to work with students to get them involved in the community and to really learn from the community and to connect what they're learning there and the skills they develop as they work in teams and they collaborate with community groups, how to take those skills back and think about how they connect with what they're also learning in their academic courses and how it is shaping them as a professional. So I work with faculty, I work with students to plan these events, and I work a lot with the community to plan events. And we have things that range from health screenings. This weekend, I think you may have heard about this when the students were reporting. We have something that's done every semester called Community Action Day. We will have, I think, close to 50% of the current students on campus who will be going out this weekend to 14 different sites and performing community service. This time, a lot of it has to do with cleanup from the hurricane, but they're also doing HIV screening, they're doing diabetes screening, they're helping a museum reinstall some exhibits. So it's a variety of different ways that students can serve the St. Martin community, and the students really enjoy it and they really learn from it.
Good.
It's good to be here.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. We have someone giving a shout out, proud Buckeye grad here.
Yes.
So I think he got the whole thing about the Ohio State.
Yes,
right? All right, so Dr. Scott Rinker, do you mind giving us a little introduction?
Sure, no problem. So my name is Dr. Scott Rinker. I am the Assistant Dean of Student Affairs. I'm a 2-time graduate of Texas A&M University, so you probably see a couple of whoops. Hopefully, there'll be a couple of whoops that come through there. Yep. So the role that I play here is really to connect students to the broader student experience, student life activities, student government, the unfortunate bits of student conduct, but making sure that there is some glue that binds the students to the broader experience here while they're learning and living on the island. And that's all I have.
And what do you teach?
Well, I am the Dean of Student Affairs.
The Dean of Student Affairs. Excellent, very important. And again, those of you listening, so Dr. Rinker is, like he's described, I mean, he's basically the part in ensuring that and helping students as they transition and they're become part of the campus and become part of AUC. So thank you, Dr.
Sure, so to broaden that a little bit, we're all part of the campus leadership team, so we're all doing things in collaboration to make sure that y'all are supported, that y'all are well educated, that y'all are well taken care of. So any one individual activity is something that we have responsibility for, but we're all part of the team that makes it happen. Excellent.
And Dr. Colin McKee.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. As you can hear, I'm not American. I'm actually Zimbabwean, but I was trained in England where they knocked my accent out of me. I've been working in England for about 30 years as a pediatrician, and for the last 10 I've been teaching AUC students during their clinical attachments in London, various London hospitals. I applied for this job and arrived 2 weeks before Hurricane Irma. So having just started, we had to depart for Preston. My job as academic dean is really interesting because this is a particularly exciting school. We've got a really varied curriculum that needs quite a lot of advancing, and it is continually moving. So I'm in charge of changing the curriculum, getting nice new exams set up, helping students so I can answer questions about those sides of life. I work a lot with Scott in terms of helping students who wish to change their route or vary their route through our medical school. So we do cater for all ways of managing the medical curriculum here. I also do some teaching, which I enjoy doing. I try to get some clinical material onto the curriculum as often as possible, mostly to do with public health, nutrition, the sorts of things pediatricians are interested in.
Right. Thank you, Dr. McKee.
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
Colin and I work really closely on is the academic support board, which is a nice format for supporting students from beginning to end. So if there's any struggles that the student is having academically, Colin and I and a group of faculty really take a look at how to best keep the student on the track to learning what they need to learn.
So it's not only about curriculum content, it's about how to learn and how to learn more efficiently. And those are skills which are really crucial to develop at this point before one goes on to clinical studies and on into hospital. Absolutely,
and actually with the panel with the students, they mentioned that exactly the same words. You have to learn how to learn. And they were saying, and the recommendation they gave to prospective students out there is you have to know yourselves, and you have to know what makes you go, what makes you maximize your experience, what allows for you to maximize your experience. So I'm glad that you're on the same page, and that's probably why we're so successful, right? Thank you. Azari.
Right, so following from Dr. McKee, you can tell I'm also one of the non-Americans in the room. So actually from the island of Trinidad and Tobago, I spent about 15 years on St. Kitts and actually joined AUC last year. Coming from another veterinary school where I spent a number of years in the student experience and as a campus administrator. So together with the other members of the leadership team, we're really focused on what can we do to improve the student experience. My particular focus is on the operation sides of things. So things like safety and security and facilities and housing and all the other fun stuff, the food services and the gym and those little bits that make life here a lot more enjoyable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's something again that the students appreciate everything you guys do, and they were talking about every single item you just went over, everything from what daily life looks like and what Azari does and how important that is for them, what Dr. McKee does as well, and relating that to their personal experiences, the learning, the curriculum, understanding how to communicate with one another, access to faculty for questions, community action day. Of course, they're all the 4 individuals that I had just now were involved in different activities. What would you say to those students listening right now, prospective students? What kind of encouragement would you say it's important for them or that you would give to them before they decide to come to AUC? What do you think is key, or what advice would you give them? Who wants to go first?
Well, I think that you can come to AUC knowing that you're coming to a place that really does pride itself on being community, and that we have this very strong group of students who tutor, for example, and they give their time to help other students do well in school. And I think there is less individual, let's say, competition on this campus than there are many, than you would find on many medical school campuses. I really am so impressed with the students' willingness to give and to support. And one of the things I do is I read the papers that students write in their first semesters, some of their reflections, and the students have expressed that. It's not just my thinking it, but students have expressed what a wonderful community this is and how they have joined, in a very short period of time, really feel like they have joined a community and they're playing
a family,
to
right?
grow a family. Mm-hmm.
And if I may add, sorry, okay, I was going to say, if I may add just a little bit to what Dr. Jackson is saying, it is really this culture of care that we have, for our students, that, faculty and staff and everyone, the community looks out for them. So it's really a place where, when you come here, you're not just a number. The staff knows you, the faculty know who you are, know you by name, and then they look out for you.
And that caring shows in a lot of ways, but it also happens right the way up the school. So for instance, you'll find our students are being supported by the folks who are doing their clinicals on the mainland and in the UK. And the people doing their clinicals in their turn are being supported by alumni. So we have, these structures of care are really obvious right the way through the whole school. And they mean that, as Golden said, there's teaching, but there's also a lot of support, careers advice. The other crucial bits of medical school information are passed on between colleagues really efficiently here.
Great.
I would also add that we have high expectations of all of our students.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who comes in here, we expect to do really good work. We expect to work hard and to learn. We have those same high expectations of ourselves. So while this is paradise and we have a lot of support for you, we expect good, high quality, rigorous work from you.
Right. Yes. Go ahead, Dr. Jackson.
Just several years ago, we were in a meeting, and the dean at the time asked the people to go around. There was all faculty there. They said, "Go around and say what gets you out of bed in the morning." And to a person, it was the students. But you're right. I mean, the faculty have very high expectations, but they are also willing to give. I had a friend over the weekend who spent 7 hours here preparing and giving a review for an exam to get students ready for that. So the faculty here really are very devoted to students.
And approachable.
Yes.
And I was walking, when I was doing the tour, I was walking around the offices upstairs, and I noticed that many professors who were there, they had the door open. I think it's a very symbolic thing. Maybe they had the door open because obviously they wanted some fresh air. But I do think, that's a great way to talk a little bit about that open door mentality that we have here at AUC, that the professors are approachable, and the students actually who I was just talking to expressed that exact same thought. They expressed how it was easy and actually encouraging. They were encouraged to reach out to professors if they were struggling. Do you recall, or do you feel like this is something that, and I know not all of you are involved in teaching, but do you feel that this sense of community makes the students be successful, or how do you think that helps them become more successful? Are they more willing to work with one another as well? Is that something you see here?
Oh, it definitely helps them learn. These folks are attending tutorials given by one another until 9 o'clock at night. It's absolutely amazing how passionate everyone is about teaching here, and it's because it comes down from the next semester above or 2 semesters above that it communicates itself right through the school. And I've never been to any medical school where medical students were teaching one another at 9 o'clock at night in large numbers in a lecture hall. It's a wonderful thing to see. But it does mean that students get lots of bites of the cherry, lots of ways of learning and lots of ways of tackling their various curriculum subjects.
Excellent. Yes. Any other input on that, or any interactions as well? I think we talked a little bit about what, and I like that comment that Dr. Jackson you made. What makes you wake up in the morning? Is there any particular interaction you recall saying, "Wow, this really made me feel proud about working for AUC"? Or, and I know you probably have tons of them, but perhaps one that you can recall that you feel can be a little sample of your experience here with the students.
Well, there are tons that I can share, but many of them surround what happened during the passage and the days after Hurricane Irma struck the island. And we saw students who were just so willing in so many different ways to step up and play a significant leadership role, either by creating a group of first responders for anyone who had injuries and how they can help. They were, front and center, making sure that everyone else had food and then they were fed. If we had to make trips to the airport to take people up, they were just going. And there was just this sense of community and supporting one another, so that they felt that they needed to give of themselves and share what they had. Yeah.
Thank you, Azari.
And when we then decamped to Preston, we moved the whole school to Preston. We started there at the end of September. And of course, Preston's in the northwest of England, which is a cold, rainy, northern place where they don't know the first thing about Thanksgiving, for instance. And so our students set up this massive Thanksgiving dinner. We clearly helped them and so on. We got them a few turkeys and pumpkin pie and so on. But they actually helped the English folk explain about Thanksgiving. And they got this massive community response. And we had a really wonderful Thanksgiving in Preston, which was largely driven by students and their families as well. The spouses were pretty influential in that case. But
I think, and I think that's a really important point that we need to share about our school, is that the families make such a huge impact on the students' learning.
Right.
The spouses organization and the kids and their involvement in so many different aspects of the student life make us, I think, even much more of that close community and that culture of care I was referring to.
And parenthesis here, let me introduce you to Dr. Athena Andriadis. And Dr. Athena Andriadis is also an AUC alum. So I think, we're proud to have you here, and you're also faculty. I'll let you introduce yourself now. So,
thank you. I'm happy to be here. Athena Andriadis. I am originally from Ohio, a 2007 AUC grad. I'm an internist by training, so I did an internal medicine residency, and I practiced as a hospitalist for several years. And in 2015, I made that kind of change back to the island. Very happy about it. And I've been teaching in the clinical medicine department here at AUC. It's been a wonderful trip back to medical school, actually.
and you enjoy, and thank you, and you enjoy teaching. And what made you, decide to come here? Well, first of all, what made you decide to apply and become a member of AUC in that sense? And also, what made you want to come back and teach?
Great question. So the reason I came here in the first place, to be completely honest with you, I had really had no experience or ever heard very much about Caribbean medical schools. From a small town in Ohio, kind of a farming community. One of the girls I graduated from, that graduated high school 1 year ahead of me, also graduated undergraduate college about a year ahead of me. She played tennis within the Division III conference, and I was basketball and softball, so we kind of kept in touch that way. She came to medical school here at AUC, had an outstanding experience during that first year, communicated back to me. I really had a great experience. The faculty are wonderful. They're really here to teach. It's a family environment. And so I put my application in, and the rest is history. It was a wonderful experience being here on the island. Really enjoyed it. A lot of things have changed since then. There's been some growth, new developments.
This building wasn't here, right?
This building was not here, right, when I was here in medical school. It's been wonderful to watch the change, and I'll tell you, it's a real honor to be back here in a teaching capacity. Being faculty, kind of on the other side maybe of the spectrum, I feel like having been here as a student gives me some perspective,
Right.
and hopefully a bit of a connection with the students as well. It's been wonderful. I can't say enough about it. I get to teach clinical medicine, which is basically what I do every day as an internist anyway, and getting to share those skills and the knowledge with AUC students is honestly is a wonderful experience.
Thank you, Dr. Andriadis. And before you came in, we actually were talking a little bit, and we wanted to touch this on the subject of the hurricane. And I think most of you have mentioned a little bit, and I think what the students probably want to know is how would we be prepared in the future if something would happen? We see another hurricane come in. What would be the preparation? Hazari, do you have some input on that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that, Gus. During the hurricane, which was also a pretty severe hurricane, we sheltered in this building, which has certainly has a stamp now that says it's been able to withstand a Category 5+ hurricane. So this is going to continue to be our main shelter in place location if we have a need to shelter. We have enough supplies that we have. We generate our own electricity, we generate our own water, and we have tons of food supplies and medical supplies if we need to access that in the case of some sort of emergency. And we'll continue to build our plans and look at ways where we can strengthen that plan. We've learned a lot, coming from this last hurricane, and we plan to make some changes to adjust to potentially, hopefully never have to face a hurricane of that magnitude in the future. But if ever we do, I think our planning has gotten even better in preparation for that.
Yeah, I think we learn from every experience and we improve.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the bottom line in this experience is, we can be more prepared. Dr. McKee, you mentioned as well the transition into Preston, and I think it's understated how valuable it is to be invited by another institution to be housed in their home as guests, and more than guests. I hear the story is that we were taken in as just like them, a family that they took in. That speaks a lot about of course, their ability to be welcoming of us. And also it speaks a lot about AUC itself, because you wouldn't invite just anybody to your houses, right? I mean, you want to make sure they have good manners and all these other stuff. I think, what was that transition like? Were you part of some of that as well?
Yes, well, we went to Preston because I knew there was lots of accommodation there, and we had to check that accommodation. But once we'd realized there were enough places for our students, they had enormous numbers of empty flats, which were appropriate. So we moved in, and the amazing thing was the speed of the move. We managed to get everyone a visa and get everyone there within 3 or 4 weeks, so that we managed to start the school in time to keep the semester going, which was the big deciding factor.
Right.
The students then had a really quite difficult time because there were only 5 members of faculty to teach the whole school. And until we got more of the faculty over, things were quite difficult. So as a whole semester, it was quite challenging. But what was amazing was that the UCLan people, the University of Central Lancashire, were very welcoming. They were just so open to anything we asked for and proposed. And for instance, they took all our IT programs and put them on their computers so that we could do our teaching and our exams there, which was something I don't think many other universities would do. So it was quite an impressive display of kindness on their part, I think. But also amazing durability on behalf of our students, because they had to move, they had to learn to live in this cold, rainy place and learn in a rather unusual situation. It was really quite a challenge for them.
Right.
As it was, I think they did really very well, and everyone coped remarkably with that change. And people did, I think a lot of people look back on it with some sort of fondness. And of course, we still have some of the school over there still.
Right, there is, yes, for those of you listening, we still have 5 semester students in Preston. And yes, we're basically still interacting with them a lot, with UCLan.
And one of the
Yes.
things that I noticed about that institution, UCLan, and our institution, is some overlap of the shared values. So they really valued kindness, compassion, and teamwork, and those are definitely things that we have within our institution as well, compassion and teamwork.
Right, and Dr. Rinker, and you as part of, now changing gears a little bit, when it comes to resources available to students here on campus, do you mind giving a little overview what kind of resources students have, and that could be for academic purposes, for instance?
Sure. Well, I'll cover some, and then any that I leave out, feel free to jump in. But I think our number one resource is our faculty. They really meet with the students every single day, and they are really exceptional. I think we kind of move in different ways, and we talk about different things, but the faculty are our number one resource. Second to that, within student affairs, you've got wellness support, you've got academic support. So wellness being sort of counseling office, talking about different aspects of their life that impact how they study. But then the academic support was the thing that we were talking about earlier, where different learning styles are addressed, different ways of addressing and learning how to get into the material and retain the information. But there's a cafeteria that's here. There's all kinds of interesting and fun things for students to have here. There's a library. It's very well stocked. Betty Bissonette, she would love it that we're talking about her library.
Mm-hmm.
And the library is here and available. We got study spaces for students. There's a lot of support.
Jim?
Oh, and the gym.
In the gym, yes. Yeah, the students were definitely emphasizing all these different resources, and the gym is one of them.
And not to forget the beach.
They actually wanted to walk over to the beach while we were doing the talking and be like, let's just do this at the beach.
Yeah.
So yeah, so thank you. Yes, that's wonderful. And I know Dr. Andriadis. Now, would you teach ICM?
ICM.
Introduction to Clinical Medicine. Sorry, I'm missing, making sure I know my acronyms. So, Introduction to Clinical Medicine. And I know you have to go very soon, but I wanted to get that out of the way. What is Introduction to Clinical Medicine? And
great question. Thank you, Gus. Introduction to Clinical Medicine is the student's chance to actually get hands-on skills with the physical exam and also knowledge, putting together what they do in the basic sciences, taking your biochemistry and your physiology and putting that stuff together into basically what you do on a daily basis as a clinician. Not only getting everything put together, kind of the integration piece of things, but also doing the hands-on pieces that we do as physicians every day, which is your physical exam. In addition to that, we do a lot with our simulation lab here at AUC, which is a phenomenal piece that we have to offer, which is standardized patients and physical exam patients that we use. The standardized patient program we use for interviewing, so introducing students to the interviewing process. How do you talk to a patient? How do you figure out what's going on with them? We use standardized patients for that in a clinical setting here on campus, which is really great.
yeah, and the standardized patient is basically an actor, right?
Right.
The lights went off. Now we're back.
Our policy-
We haven't moved enough. Sorry, Dr. Andriadis. So a standardized patient. Can you explain who that
Absolutely.
person might be?
Standardized patient for us, they're usually professionals here from St. Martin. Usually they live on the island. Some of them have acting skills that they come with, some not, and we train them. We have a standardized simulation program director that trains them to act as real patients. And so the interaction that you get with them is actually a real patient interaction, where they adjust and answer questions that you ask as a clinician during the interview.
Great.
Which is pretty phenomenal experience for all of us to be a part of.
Right, and it comes in handy that you've experienced the actual physician perspective, and you can teach students from the actual way it should be done. So,
absolutely.
So that's wonderful. All right, thank you, Dr. Andriadis. And Dr. Jackson, as far as a Community Action Day, I know that this is your baby. This is something that you really work hard every semester. How many students are involved? Can you give me a little bit of logistics of what goes on?
Well, we have this, I think, will be a record-setting Community Action Day. We are looking to have close to 50% of our students. We have 401 students right now on the campus, and the rest are in Preston. And so it's a very large turnout. And I think it's because even though we had Community Action Day in Preston, people in Preston, the people at UCLan helped us put that together, and it was wonderful. But the students were so eager to come back and do things on this island. And so they will be going out. We start with breakfast early in the morning, and then they go out and do their service. And some of them, there's so many people there. We have 2 shifts, a morning shift and an afternoon shift. So the whole thing will end by about 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
Right.
And and then the other thing we have, this is a celebratory weekend at AUC. We have the celebration of academic excellence Friday night and Friday afternoon late. And the students who were named to the Dean's List, students who are receiving departmental awards. In Preston, we'll have the same ceremony, and in there will be students who are being inducted into the Honor and Service Society, as well as students who are receiving scholarships. So it is a time to reflect on the academic achievement of our students and to celebrate that.
Yes, and that's a good segue, because tomorrow, for those of you listening, we're planning to do this live and show you the ceremony if you want to join that. What time will it be at?
5:30.
5:30, St. Martin time, which means it would be earlier on the.
4:30 Eastern.
There you go. Yeah, I'm still confused about this change of time. Thank you for bringing that up. We're going to be doing that tomorrow. And then Saturday, I plan to go with one of the organizations, one of the volunteering groups to a Community Action Day. And I plan to record and video all of that for you, all of you seeing this. I want to make sure that you get an opportunity to get a little more of a closer look of what we do on an everyday basis, or at least, during Community Action Day.
Well, I just want to say this year is the 10th year of Community Action, and we do it 3 times a year. So in October of 2018 will be our 30th Community Action Day.
Wow, 30 already.
Yes.
Wow. We're almost there as far as matching the years AUC has been around, because this is our 40th anniversary year.
Yeah.
So we're 30 Community Action Day, so we're going to be very close to matching that eventually. All right, so I think we covered a lot of good information. I thank you all for your participation. This is wonderful. Students have been able to see or prospective students rather, they have been able to see the student side of it, faculty side of it. I've also been able to talk to some of the staff members in the library and the gym. And so I think that those of you listening and watching this is as best as, or as close as it gets to getting the AUC experience remotely. Is there any parting words you want?
I just wanted to add a couple of statements on clubs and organizations and special interest groups. I would encourage students to go to the website and take a look at the clubs and organizations to broaden the things that they can involve with.
Absolutely.
While on the island. And does anybody want to talk about the special interest groups in particular?
Well, there's a number of special interest groups which are run by students but assisted by members of faculty to help them do research, projects, and engage with community sometimes in very specific ways because they have a specific interest in children or population health, global health, surgery. We've also got a special interest group, I think, in emergency medicine and family medicine. So there's a group of them, and added to which there's an enormous list on the website, which will give prospective students some idea of what goes on after hours, as it were, on the campus.
Excellent.
And the other thing I want to add is that you've seen the virtual tour of the campus. If there's anyone who's actually interested in visiting the campus and seeing it firsthand, we're always happy to have you here and then provide you a tour of the campus and the surrounding area.
Excellent. Yeah, and I know there is also access to wellness counselors on campus. We have some wellness counselors here. I did the tour and I showed that. I think it's important that prospective students know that there are resources as well. If they have any personal struggle, they can also go and access the wellness counselors. How many counselors do we have?
We have 2 counselors on staff, and we provide the full support. So sort of the social support, the psychological support, and the academic support. So
right, they go hand in hand.
Yes.
Okay. And any specifics about the curriculum in particular? Anything that you feel it's important to mention about how we use the curriculum to make our students successful? Anything on that regard?
The curriculum is an accelerated curriculum on the school. So in other words, it's not like the old-fashioned medical school where things were spread out over several years. We have a very small number of semesters in which we cover enormous amounts of curriculum territory. So the staff cover this in various ways. There aren't a large number of laboratories, but for anatomy, for instance, we do dissection. We do have cadavers here and a lot of lab time in anatomy. There are lots of small group activities throughout the school, and in particular, Athena runs small group activities for the ICM courses.
Right.
And so standard courses such as molecular and cell medicine or medical microbiology or pharmacology, they are covered by lectures and small groups. So there's quite a variety of ways of delivering the curriculum, but it is done in short spaces of time, and students might like to ask questions about that. It's one of the reasons we pay a lot of emphasis on office hours and for faculty to have their doors open, as you've observed.
As I was able to observe.
Yeah.
Thank you. And like I said, any other parting words, anything you want to advise those of the students who are listening right now or viewing, anything you would recommend for them? Any tips or ideas?
Well, I was going to say, just to add on to what Colin was saying, is that not only the quality of the program is really good, but the facilities are really top-notch. technology in delivering our program as well in so many different ways in terms of simulators and the IT technology on the campus is really top notch. So it's really something that students going to get a full experience coming here and studying.
Another way that we really try to prepare students is that we have a testing center that mimics the when you would take your step 1, your MBME exams, and we do it. We have the same protocol, so students are exposed to that, and then they become more comfortable with sitting for that kind of an exam.
Right. Great. All right. So thank you again for joining this conversation. Those of you listening, thank you for participating. Remember that this video will be posted on the Facebook page so you can share it, and just like the other videos as well. A lot of what our panelists have discussed here, whether it is related to ICM or related to campus life, we do have videos on that as well, and I recommend that you check them out. So thank you, Azari. Thank you, Dr. McKee, Dr. Renker, Dr. Jackson. Dr. Andrade has actually had to step out. She had to go get her kids. So I know that she's also very thankful for your viewership, for paying attention to this video, and for looking for information about AUC. All right, so thank you all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Sign up and get those applications, and we're looking forward to seeing you.
Bye.